Valtteri Bottas delivered a crucial bounce-back pole position after a tough start to his season as he outpaced championship frontrunners Lewis Hamilton and Max Verstappen in Portuguese GP qualifying, making Hamilton wait for his 100th pole for at least 7 days more at Spain. Bottas came to the fore at the start of Q3 after his Mercedes teammate had dominated Q2 and his first attempt of 1:18.348, a scant of 0.007 seconds quicker than the sister car, which both ran soft tyres, ultimately secured pole. The Finn made his worst start to a campaign at Mercedes and collectively out of the last race at Imola after a collision with Williams. George Russell, so a 17th career pole, should act as a timely fill-up. It was the ultimate challenge out there, said Sky F1's Nico Rosberg, of the track conditions on a gusty Portimao Sunday. Let's hand it to Valtteri though. He put it all together when it mattered. Great job by him. Bottas will have an all-Mercedes front row for the first time this season after Max Verstappen ended up in a third place, which was frustrating for the Red Bull man. The Dutchman's first time of Q3 was the least of the track limits, an effort of 1:18.2 that would have been good enough for pole, and his second was 4/10 off the pace after a problematic last sector. This was despite Red Bulls running their cars on theoretically faster, softer tyres all through the final session, where Mercedes initially ran the same and switched back to the mediums compound that had seen Hamilton set the quickest time of qualifying, a 1:17.9 in Q2. Yet neither Mercedes driver improved on their final times, meaning Bottas hung on to pole. A subdued Red Bull had trailed their rivals by a large 7/10 on the medium tyres in that second stage, and will start on that tyre for the first stint of Sunday's race, along with the Mercedes and Ferraris. Sergio Perez took fourth in the second Red Bull, recovering from a spin into the gravel in Q1 to ensure the championship challengers at least start directly behind their World Championship leading rivals. Of the rest was the impressive Carlos Sainz, who outqualified new teammate Charles Leclerc, who came 8th for the first time in his third outing for Ferrari. Esteban Ocon was a fine 6th for Alpine on a much improved weekend for the former Renault team, but teammate Alonso's own practice pace disappeared after he missed out on Q2 again in 13th. Lando Norris was 7th in a lead McLaren on a day teammate Daniel Ricciardo suffered a big disappointment, surprisingly knocked out in Q1 and was down in 16th. But there was finally some Saturday joy for four-time world champion Sebastian Vettel, whose long wait for a Q3 return finally ended with his best result for Aston Martin so far. Vettel's previous top 10 appearance was at last August's British GP for Ferrari 16 races ago. Like Bottas, George Russell delivered a strong Saturday after the events of Imola, with the British driver missing out on Q3 but in a Williams by a minuscule 0.05 seconds. Meanwhile, nonetheless, he will start from a very strong 11th place amid his ongoing search for first points with Williams. Usually the fastest time of an all-dry qualifying session is the one that takes place in Q3, but it was definitely not the case here during the course of a strange Saturday in the Algarve. Amid sunny but gusty conditions on Portugal's south coast, Bottas was the only one of the 10 runners to improve his lap time from Q2 in the final qualifying. This was honestly so much time available and just didn't put it together, said Hamilton. It's really tricky conditions here. The surface of the track is really smooth and not a lot of grip, and with the tyres you need extra laps to get the temperatures, even though it's a really nice day. 1 minute you have the grip, the next minute you don't. It's tricky for everyone. Verstappen, who won from third despite a tricky qualifying last time at Imola, said all qualifying was very difficult to drive, struggling with a lot of grip. I'm quite confident that we can still do a good final lap, but the last sector in the car in front just disturbs you, and it cost me a lot of lap time, but it is what it is. On to the final classifications then. Valtteri Bottas taking a fine pole position. That's a huge for Valtteri after the tough start he's had. Hamilton and Verstappen, I think they'll be slightly disappointed, as will Perez. He didn't really have the pace day. Sainz and Ocon, though, they'll be very happy. I think Norris will be fairly happy too, with how good poor the McLaren's been this weekend, I should say. Leclerc in 8th, I think he'll be slightly disappointed. AlphaTauri haven't really had the same pace, so I don't think Gasly will be too disappointed. Vettel in 10th, that's a fine job from him, especially with him not having the new upgrades. Russell in 11th, Gio in 12th, I think they'll both be very happy. Alonso in 13th, the Alpine did look like it had some pace, so probably slightly disappointing. Tsunoda and Raikkonen both behind their teammates, so I didn't think they'll be slightly disappointed. Ricciardo and Stroll very disappointing. I was expecting them to make them through. Latifi, Schumacher and Mazepin, kind of the bottom three you would expect. They just didn't really have the pace, but for Latifi it ain't great considering where Russell came. But anyway guys, that's it for this video. Thanks very much for watching. Remember to like, share, subscribe, let me know your thoughts and comments down below, and follow me on Twitter, link in the description below for daily F1 news, and subscribe to my channel on screen right now, that'd be greatly appreciated. Thanks very much for watching. Peace.